Tighten those bootstraps. There's even more Yellowstone on the horizon, and one of Hollywood's leading men, Harrison Ford, is set to join Yellowstone in its upcoming spin-off 1923. We have the release date, plus the details on the latest chapter in Paramount's drama series. And 1923, even before its release, already has a major advantage over other Yellowstone shows. What could it be? Stay saddled up to find out. It was back in May that the show was announced to debut on Paramount Plus in December, and now the show has finally locked in a premiere date. It's good news, Yellowstone fans. We don't have to wait much longer. 1923 is confirmed to premiere on December 18th, 2022. Happy holidays! The show is the second spin-off to the popular series, which follows the Dutton family who runs a ranch in Yellowstone National Park. 1923 is sending Taylor Sheridan's franchise to another dramatic era, with the Dutton family story about to get even deeper. This series will follow Ford and Mirren as Jacob and Cara Dutton, respectively, during some pretty dark times, as the next chapter of the Yellowstone saga will chronicle the Duttons during Prohibition and the Great Depression. The streamer notes, all plague the Mountain West and the Duttons who call it home. This could be the biggest installment yet, with Harrison Ford in the lead and all. This series is a prequel to Paramount Network's Yellowstone, starring Kevin Costner as John Dutton, the sixth-generation patriarch of a Montana ranching family. The highly anticipated fifth season of Yellowstone, in which John becomes governor of Montana, drops November 13th on the network, and if you're going to be watching 1923, you should probably check it out. If you're new here, well, the family tree of the Duttons is rather complicated, but it's worth knowing that Jake Dutton, portrayed by Ford, is the brother of James Dutton, played by Tim McGraw in 1883. In season 4 of Yellowstone, it was revealed that James had been killed after the events of 1883, so don't expect him to show up in 1923. If you like the Dutton family in the prequel, 1883, you'll love them in 1923. 1923 is essentially a bridge between the main Yellowstone and sibling prequel 1883, which takes place several decades before John Dutton's birth. Between them all, we'll get a detailed look at what the Duttons have sacrificed for their ranch. Did you know the new show was originally deemed 1932? According to Deadline, the title change to 1923 was reportedly made to reflect the series' focus on events that unfold shortly after the end of World War I, 1918, and the start of Prohibition, 1920. No matter what year it is, we are eagerly awaiting the Duttons' origin story. Right on, John. We've got your ancestors to learn about. Before audiences see it, we already know that 1923 has one major difference from its predecessor, 1883. The Duttons settled in Montana, some 40 years after the events of 1883, but still about 35 years before Kevin Costner's John Dutton from the flagship series will be born. And Deadline reports that Sheridan has decided that one season won't be enough to tell the story of this Dutton generation. Instead, he needs 2 seasons of 8 episodes each. Originally, 1883 was supposed to have a second season, but Sheridan decided to turn that second season into a series of its own. It ended up being the origin of 1923, and the story is obviously much bigger than the one told in the first prequel. Speaking of bigger, when it comes to expanding its cast, the cast of the Yellowstone spin-off 1923 is bigger than any other show in Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western universe. The new series has recruited some of Hollywood's biggest names to help tell its story, and the strong ensemble may just allow 1923 to replace Yellowstone as Sheridan's new flagship series. Combined with what's been revealed about the prequel story and factions, the 1923 cast already makes the spin-off sound more exciting than Yellowstone, with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren starring as the Dutton Ranch patriarch and matriarch. 1923 could become the biggest anti-hero crime drama of this decade, given that these film legends will be joined by several television veterans in the lead cast. Sheriff William McDowell, a local lawman and friend to the Duttons, will be played by Robert Patrick, famed for Terminator 2. The hard-headed Bruges-wearing Scotsman, Banner Creighton, leader of the local sheepmen, will be played by Jerome Flynn, who you may recognize from the Game of Thrones. The rest of the Duttons in the cast are Jacob's nephew, John Sr., the little boy in 1883, his wife Emma, their son Jack, and John Sr.'s brother Spencer, played by James Badge Dale, Marley Shelton, Darren Mann, and Brandon Sklenar, respectively. The cast also includes Brian Garrity as Zane Davis, the foreman at the Dutton Ranch, Jennifer L. as Sister Mary O'Connor, a nun who teaches at the School for American Indians in Montana, Julia Schlaepfer as Alexandra, an expatriate who meets a Dutton abroad, and Amina Neves as Tiana Rainwater, a government residential boarding school resident whose name suggests that 1923 will reveal more about the Duttons' relationship with with the Confederated Tribes of Broken Rock. The 1923 cast feels like a team ready to take over the Sheridanverse and join the club keeping the neo-westerns alive. We're not worried. Taylor Sheridan's sprawling Yellowstone TV universe is set to get bigger and bigger still, with the second season of his upcoming prequel 1923 announced before the first season debuts. Just how big can it get? Could Yellowstone be getting 2 more prequels? Paramount's announcement of the official premiere date for 1923 included the news that Sheridan is considering 2 more Yellowstone prequels, one set in the 1940s and one set in the 1960s. Both scripts are in the early development stages. In less than 1 year each, the seasons of 1883 and 1923 were developed by Paramount, which is using Sheridan's content as the foundation for its streaming service. But with 2 seasons of 1923 to look forward to, Sheridan has more time to develop more prequels and create more generations of Duttons. Paramount has given Sheridan the keys to the kingdom, and the studio is willing to expand his Yellowstone universe as much as possible. Considering that Yellowstone is the #1 drama on TV, this makes sense. The season 4 finale scored more than 15 million viewers. Bizarrely, despite its popularity with audiences, the show has fared less well with critics. This year it blanked completely at the Emmys after many pundits predicted that it would wind up in the best drama series lineup, though 1883 managed 2 nods at the Creative Arts Emmys. 4 years after Yellowstone's premiere, Sheridan is now in the same league as Shonda Rhimes and Dick Wolf. It's not hard to see why the Taylor Sheridan television empire, featuring shows like Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, and Mayor of Kingstown, are so popular with his loyal fanbase. All of these stories feature strong-willed families whose members, despite their differences, are bonded by a common goal: to establish or maintain their own personal dynasties. Typically, their leadership is led by a patriarch of sorts, perhaps stubborn in his own way, but with a moral code that, despite his anti-heroic methodology, is easy to cheer for. Family members will argue, and some of them will probably die, but throughout it all, they remain forever bonded to each other, and the audience will continue to root for their success. All of his properties have drawn major talent for those patriarchal roles, with Yellowstone, 1883, and The Mayor of Kingstown bringing in talents such as Kevin Costner, Sam Elliott, Jeremy Renner, and now Harrison Ford in 1923. Clearly, he has his recipe for success down to a T. While we wait somewhat patiently for Ford's Yellowstone debut, Season 5 is finally here. In the Season 4 finale alone, we saw a wedding, murder, court sentencing, and spiritual awakening, and luckily Taylor Sheridan has plenty more material in mind. And no, we're not talking about the 1923 prequel series again. Season 5 will return in epic fashion on November 13th with a 2-hour premiere. The Season 5 trailer reminds us that power has a price, but what are the Duttons willing and able to pay? In September, Paramount Network dropped the Season 5 trailer. This footage revealed a world where John is governor, and his new title is bound to bring a whole new set of problems with it. His first decision? Hiring Beth as his chief of staff. Then, in true Yellowstone fashion, the trailer erupts with tension, conflict, and explosive action. Earlier this year, Paramount Network released a 16-second teaser to hold Yellowstone fans over until the actual trailer. In the clip, John Dutton declares, "We'll show the world who we are and what we do," as footage of Beth, Casey, Jamie, and Rip flashes by. The message to fans? All will be revealed in upcoming episodes. The wait, like the wait for 1923, will be worth it, especially since we're getting 14 brand new episodes instead of the usual 10. The show's 5th season will be split into 2 installments of 7 episodes each, but we've been told that no release date has been set yet. With all that's coming up, one thing is for certain: it's Taylor Sheridan's world, and we're just living in it. Shine up those belt buckles now, and don't forget the first season of 1923 drops on December 18th on Paramount+. Thanks for watching and subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you next time.